How's your day been? Mine's been great. Today's the 28th of April. April. My gosh. Today's the 26th of March 2025. And for me, broadcast from London, it's just a few minutes before midnight. Okay. I did say the last live stream that I was going to read Genesis 1 to 4, but I only got so far as chapter 3 because, you know, these things can be so involving and I had quite a bit to say and we'd almost gone to like an hour. So I thought best things to just start from chapter 4 next time and we take it from there. Okay, so I'm reading from the ESV, from the English Standard Version of the Bible. My main Bible is the King James Version of the Bible, but I don't like reading out from that out loud, and it's Old English. I want viewers to understand what I'm saying, and it's best to speak or to read from a modern translation. But we can always fall back on the King James Version if necessary, but there we go. So what I intend to do is to let me just line this up for you. So you can grab your own Bibles or we can just read along with me and that should be great. So let me just get this nice and straight. There we go. There we go. Chapter 4, Genesis, the book of Genesis. Now Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain. I have gotten a man with the help of the Lord, and again she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain a worker of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground, and Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And the Lord God had regard for Abel and his offering. But for Cain and his offering, he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, and you must rule over it." You'd have noticed these little amendments here. What it is that the publishers of the ESV version recently put out an update where they sort of like, you know, as I said, updated some of the wordings in their version. So I had to come in here, cross out and amend. So that's the reason for this. But if you know, I did highlight when the Lord said, "Why are you angry? And why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, and you must rule over it." I think that's kind of like a warning really for all of us to heed, that I suppose if we're upset about something, if we think we're not doing well about something, if we're feeling envious in any way about somebody, as the Lord says, sin is crouching at the door. and its desire is for you, and you must rule over it. So it's down to us to overcome that temptation to sin. It will always be there. And the stronger we resist it, the stronger it will come at us. But I would even take that as a good thing, because that means we're strong and our feet are solid on the ground. So this is the Lord telling Cain, look, you need to relax and you need to do better. Getting angry is not going to resolve the situation, because sin is just waiting for you around the corner. And, so he just needed to take it easy. Cain spoke to Abel, his brother. It's always a bit, that's it. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is your brother Abel? And, I just have to say this. This is how effective sin is and Satan is, because man hadn't lived more than one generation. You got Adam and his children, Cain and Abel, just a second generation. And what happens? Well, we start killing ourselves. And Cain didn't kill a stranger. He killed his own brother. So, you see, it's just like, how can I say this? It's just like sin. It's just waiting around the corner. And, how many people were there in the world then? What would you be jealous of? It's just like the four of you. And maybe they had other siblings, just the four of them. I've forgotten his name now. Adam, Eve, Cain and Abel. What's there to be jealous about? But, I suppose family dynamics kick in. His offerings aren't being accepted as his brothers are. And what do you do? Oh, I know what I do. I kill him. What does that resolve? What has that ever resolved? So this is just the beginning of man, and, we can tell that they weren't living a holy life, were they? After getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden, it went downhill from there, and that's reflected in their children. I just repeat from verse 8. Cain spoke to Abel his brother, and when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel your brother? He said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And the Lord said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. And how you are cursed from the ground. And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield to you its strength. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can beat. Behold, you have driven me today away from the ground, and from your face I shall be hidden. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. Then the Lord said to him, not so. If anyone kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest any who found him should attack him. Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. When he built a city, he called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad fathered Mehujael, and Mehujael fathered Methushael, and Methushael fathered Lamech. And Lamech took two wives. The names of one was Ada, and the name of the other was Zillah. Ada bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who played the lyre and pipe. Zillah also bore Tubal-Cain. He was the forger of all instruments of bronze and iron. The sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, "Hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, listen to what I say. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain's revenge is sevenfold, then Lamech's is 70-fold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and called his name Seth. For she said, God has appointed for me another offspring instead of Abel, for Cain killed him. To Seth also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. At that time, people began to call upon the name of the Lord." Chapter 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. Male and female, he created them, and he blessed them and named them man when they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness after his image, and named him Seth. The days of Adam after he fathered Seth was 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Adam that Adam lived were 930 years, then he died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he fathered Enosh. Seth lived after he fathered Enosh 807 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he fathered Kenan. Enosh lived after he fathered Kenan 815 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he fathered Mahalalel. Kenan lived after he fathered Mahalalel 840 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. When Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he fathered Jared. Mahalalel lived after he fathered Jared 830 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he fathered Enoch. Jared lived after he fathered Enoch 800 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah 300 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Okay, that just didn't make sense a second there. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Okay. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he fathered Lamech. Methuselah lived after he fathered Lamech 782 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he fathered a son and called his name Noah, saying, out of the ground that the Lord has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work and from the painful toil of our hands. Lamech lived after he fathered Noah 595 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. After Noah was 500 years old, Noah fathered Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Right, look, I just want to go back to verse 24 because that didn't make much sense to me. So let me just grab the King James Version and let's see what that says. Because sometimes when they interpret these things, who knows what's going on, eh? So here's the trusty old King James Version. Let's see what's going on. Genesis 5 verse 24. Okay. I just had to grab it from my bookshelf there. Should have kept it within arm's reach and stop you from hearing all the noises of this creaky chair. Okay, so it says the same thing. I'll show you. Interesting. Where is it? 24. Yeah. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. What does that mean? For Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. All right, let me just check this out. Yeah, I kind of had that feeling. Well, helpfully, the notes do actually help here. And it says, I'm sure the ESV had notes as well, but there we go. Let's just use this one. It says, Enoch walked with God. The verb employed signifies to walk about or to live. And the preposition denotes intimacy, fellowship. Jude 14 and 15 reveal his ministry and evidently powerful preaching. So Enoch was a man of God. He walked with God. I think if one is familiar with the book of Enoch, apparently, it's in the apocrypha. I hate that word. I do have a version here. Bear with me. Yeah, here we go. The complete apocrypha. Right, the book of Enoch. Good book to read, actually. It does open one's mind up to quite a few things that are going on, or that went on, and what we can relate to today. It just gives a story of the Nephilim, and Enoch got transported with angels and got taken to the heavens and saw things that people wouldn't normally see. And it's worth a read, to be totally honest. It's not included in the Bible, but you can download it off of the internet for free, or you can buy it as a separate book. I think you can even listen to it on YouTube, but I actually prefer to read things for myself. And it's a worthwhile read because it does open your eyes to really what's going on here and how the world has been influenced by the fallen angels, and how that goes on to this very day. So why it's not included in the Bible, I have no idea, but it's telling the truth, and the truth is worth knowing because it will help one establish what's going on today, who these characters are, and what the future holds. And the part that I do like, it goes into depth in talking about the sun and especially the moon and how they do their rotation and what they're all about. Because I did say yesterday that the moon emits its own light, and the only evidence that I have to prove that it emits its own light is what I've seen when I look at the moon and what the Bible says. And I take the Bible as gospel. If the Bible says the moon emits its own light, that's what I believe in. I don't believe what the astronomers and what the scientists say when they say it reflects the sun's light. I just can't see that. So where were we? We're starting on chapter 6, before I got a little bit distracted, but it was good to know that bit of English, which wasn't very straightforward, for me at least, meant that Enoch was walking in the path of the Lord. And I think he never died, actually. He got taken to heaven. So, yes. So let's roll with this. Chapter 6. Right. When man began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters, that's the angels, saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh, and his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them, these were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. The Lord said that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So the Lord said, I will blot out man, who I have created, from the face of the land, man and animals and creeping things and birds of the heavens, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God, and Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end to all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits. Its breadth, 500 cubits. And its height, 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above, and set the door of the ark on its side. Make it with lower, second and third decks. For behold, I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh in which is the breath of life under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, with the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind. 2 of every sort shall come in to you to keep them alive. Also, take with you every sort of food that is eaten and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. I did have a query when I read this, and I said to myself, I wonder if Noah took the animals that lived in the sea and in the waters of the oceans, the rivers and lakes. And I kind of wondered to myself, did he take those as well? But when I read the chapter that I've just read, I said, well, the Lord didn't say anything about taking aquatic animals, did he? And as it was going to be raining, they're going to live anyway, won't they? They're not going to drown. So that was my conclusion. But, sometimes my mind starts to race and I just start to think of things. Because what would man have been doing that the Lord said, I'm fed up of this people. I actually regret creating man. That means the Lord, not that it means, but we should know this anyway. The Lord had a plan for man. And the life we're living now is not the Lord's intention. And when he saw how man was living, the crimes they were committing, the immorality and all those things, that if you read Enoch, you know a lot more about it. That's why it's important to read the book of Enoch. It will outline these things to you. And for the Lord to say, I actually regret creating these people and the animals, look at what's going on here. It's like mini Satans running around, in the tens of thousands. So, so Lord said, well, I'm just going to destroy the whole thing. And I'm sure that there were other things that, these Nephilim, the men of renown, I'm sure they were also experimenting and doing their own stuff and all the evil that would come with that. Because, we see these mythical creatures, spiders with human heads, Medusas with all snakes as hair. You have these goats or is it horses with a horse's body but a man's head? You know, all that kind of stuff. I don't think those things are really mythical. I think they were actually happening in Noah's time, and all other evil, funny stuff was going on. And that's why the Lord said, I'm putting an end to all of this. And, told Noah to build his ark. So, and as an angel, you were created to be holy. Right? Because the Lord does say this in Enoch. He says, because the angels who rebelled, or the watchmen that came down to earth and committed sin with the woman by marrying them or getting them pregnant, they realized what they had done was wrong, and they asked, I think it was Enoch, to intercede on their behalf with the Lord. And the Lord said to them, Enoch is a human being. You were created holy. You are meant to be interceding on behalf of Enoch, not Enoch interceding on your behalf. So they weren't forgiven. And they taught men all kinds of stuff. Read the book of Enoch and it will tell you how to create weapons, how to read the clouds, fortune telling, and there was all kinds of sexual immorality that they introduced as well, and things like that. So they actually kind of like corrupted man more than what man was already corrupted. So you can see when you rebel against the Lord, you're only thinking of the negative. Okay, so angels were created holy, and they were not meant to defile themselves with humans, because I compare it to a man having sex with an ape. Okay, because that's the intellectual gap that is between a man and an ape and a man and angels. You know, they're created higher than us. They're very powerful. Or from our perspective, they will be very powerful beings. So why would you now copulate with a mere human because she looks good? Why would you do that? Why would you defile yourself? Because the Lord said you were created holy. The reason why human beings are, procreate and have sex is because they're mortal. And these are things for them to just have while they're alive on earth, breathing. But you were created holy, so what are you doing? So some of them were bound up, they're bound up till they'll be bound up till they are judged. So many of them are in chains, bound up somewhere in the Middle Earth, someplace, spending their time. And their offspring, when they died, they became demons, evil spirits that still wander the earth. And they're in that realm, in cahoots with Satan. So, like I said, and I say it again, read the book of Enoch. It will really open up your eyes to Genesis. It really would fill in the gaps that Genesis doesn't tell us about. So it's really important that one has a read. It will give one a much better understanding of the world. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to chapter 7, and I just wanted to limit these streams to about 30-35 minutes. So it's been a pleasure having you. It's been fantastic, and I hope you join me for the next live stream, or I hope you watch the recording of it. So enjoy the rest of your day, and no doubt I'll be speaking to you soon. Take care.